Boom. Welcome to the Make Australian Football Fun Society. I am your host, Nick Stoll, and I've got to tell you, this is an espresso edition. We've got no time to stuff around because, let's be honest, we do stuff around on this show sometimes. We go off on tangents. Sometimes we have one point. We never get to it in time. This happens, and to be honest, I got to be honest, Joe Simon, am I more guilty of this than anyone?
Yeah, you do ramble, but I do like that you're cracking the whip. But it's been a big week. There's a lot to talk about. A few good games on the weekend. Personally, I had a wedding on the weekend. My puppy's
that's enough. We don't have to go on about our whole life story. Teo Pellizzeri, you're also with us. What do you think? Do I ramble too much? Does Joe ramble too much?
So are we live? It's only 8:02. This is the rehearsal.
Yeah. No, we got time.
No, come on.
Yeah,
guys. This is a serious operation.
Because every week is a bit. We go live at 5, 6 past. Who's that idiot that I always make fun of? For
Josh
always saying we're
Parrish?
late.
No.
Wait, no, hang on. Are we actually legit live, Stoll?
Hey! All right, this is already off to a disaster. All right, guys, I wanted this show to go nice and smoothly, straight into it. Sometimes it takes like 45 minutes for me to even ask you what made Australian football fun. Which really we only ever have. People think there's a lot of prep go into this. I mean, there's 15 million listeners. I'm sure people think we have production meetings and all that. The truth is, about 5 minutes before the show, we go, okay, what are we talking about this week?
Who's the anonymous stoat in my Google Doc every week? I write 2,000 words on the rundown each week.
It's going.
Joe, are you the anonymous stoat?
No, I think I'm the anonymous penguin usually.
The penguin. Okay.
People in the comments, I need your help. I need you to keep this show on track. I need you to tell us when we need to move on. I need you. We're going to make this show.
Joe. Have you seen Scarface?
Oh,
of course I've seen Scarface.
Now, do you know, over the course of the show, can you guess which A-League player we nicknamed Rebenga? Because we suspected that player's politics may align to Emilio Rebenga, who gets stabbed in the Cuban camp.
This
Fortaroli?
Sorry, Stoll. We are live, yeah?
We are live. We need to get to it. Look, if you tune in, there's two questions. There's two questions that need to be answered every week. One is, what made Australian football fun for you this week? We'll get the answers from Joe and Teo in a minute. Please let us know in the comments what made it fun for you. And then what would make it even more fun next week? Ideas. Love good ideas. Let us know. Big week. Obviously, we had Irankunda selected, not selected, rejecting selection, not rejecting.
No, I thought we took that off the rundown specifically.
No. Like Irankunda's passing.
Irankunda. Sorry, you broke up. Yeah. I heard Iran, and I thought, oh, mate, come on. I know we're branching into politics, but let's just leave that aside for a week. And
look, Irankunda it's like his parking. It's a little bit in, it's a little bit out. We're never sure what's going on with that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Sydney Derby. We'll talk about City's 8-0 win. Finally, history. Third time's a charm. We've been pushing for it for ages.
Wasn't that weeks ago? That was weeks ago, wasn't it?
City and Perth. Because you know what? Don't forget Perth. Perth also created a bit of history. Unwanted history, but it doesn't matter. Still historic. But, Joe, what made Australian football fun for you this week?
Well, firstly, now that you mentioned an espresso edition, Teo, I don't know about you, but when I usually have a short black or an espresso, it takes me a little bit longer because I enjoy sipping on it. So, yes, they are smaller in size, and in theory, they take a shorter time. But I don't know. You tell me what you think.
Not a coffee guy. That's
not a coffee guy. You're a green tea guy.
Really?
That's my honest answer. Yeah. I have many problems, but coffee is not one of them. Maybe I can use coffee as a crutch to get off some of them.
Okay.
Perhaps. All right. I'll get onto it. So last week we saw that Tomoki Imai, he copped a suspension and he was ruled out of the game this week against Central Coast. But I don't know if you saw this, but that did not stop him attending the game. Here he is here for those watching on YouTube. Tomoki manning the merch desk. And
is he earning commission on merch? Is that why he's grinning so deviously?
I have a theory here, and I love this not only because look at that image. He's so happy to be there, which I love to see. But also sometimes when a player's injured or suspended, you see them on the sidelines, and typically, they're helping out, they're assisting the manager, potentially because, after their career, they might think that they have a career in managing. But what I like to think is, so Tomoki, he's 33. he might not have too many years left. So I think he might have a promising career in retail after this. I don't know. There's a lot of Christmas casuals that start early.
Career in managing a rebel sport, yeah.
Potentially. And look, there's a sign on the wall there, parking season-long $2,989. Not bad. That's a good deal. That's not a bad deal.
Look, I think credit to Tamoki Mai. I love to see A-League players get second jobs, part-time jobs. You know,
you never know.
It's like NPL tradition. A lot of those guys have part-time jobs as well, so it's good to see that continuing. And you know what? Great stuff. I mean, I think more of the Western United players have said it before. Should get the high-vis vests on and start building the stadium that's coming. You know, there's going to be some jobs there for sure. So great to see from Tamoki Mai. Teo, you ever worked in retail?
Yeah, I have. I worked at a Myer over Christmas. In fact, I'm still foolish at my advanced age to be working overnight shifts, but my very first overnight shift, I believe, was Christmas, the 23rd into Christmas Eve, 2006, I reckon.
That's a Chadstone special. It must.
It was at Chadstone. Indeed, it was at Chadstone. Back when you could still park at Chadstone, I believe. Yeah, can you even get a parking spot at Chadstone these days?
You can park at Tarneet and get the shuttle if you need.
Park at Tarneet and get the shuttle. Yeah.
Okay. Melbourne Talkback Radio. Let's just relax a little bit.
You called, you get on. This
is Teo's takeaway. Call in now. Also, Sol, I love that you're saying, I need to get out of here 40 minutes sharp. But Teo, have you worked in retail?
We didn't sell. I actually got told off because someone came in and asked for Wolf Mother. And I said, yeah, look, she was a bit hairy, but I saw her walk past earlier. And then the manager pulled me aside and said, no, it's a band, you gronk.
Oh, wow.
And see, now you might know what year. Yeah, I said 2006. Wolf Mother were big. I mean, it was one of those jobs where to make you seem busy, they used to send you out just to rearrange DVDs on the shelves, as if you know someone's first impression is somehow going to be altered because the design of what's at the front of the shelves is different to what it was 30 minutes earlier. Anyway, it should come as no shock that I was chasing them. I was chasing them for like $1,000 in wages for months after I finished working for them. Months.
You know what was great? In the old JB Hi-Fi days, they used to have like the people who work there, the workers' recommendations, like kind of 5 stars, and you know that was. I mean, I love a bit of that. We need to bring that. Tamoki Mai should have his ratings next to every piece of merch they have. Look, let us know in the comments which A-League player, what should be their second job if you had to envision a part-time job for them to be. Which player, what job? Let us know in the comments. If it's not defamatory, we will talk about it.
Hang on. If ever there was a week to do stuff that's defamatory, I think it's right now. I don't know if you've been following the news, Stoll, but defamation cases are bloody hard to win. And I would say that it's a terrible, terrible time to, if you did it, try to sue someone and use defamation to say you didn't. So, Stoll, as long as you are ironclad that whoever did it definitely did it. Tamoki Mai recommended Wolf Mother to me, and I've been recommending it ever since 2006.
Let us know in the comments, Teo, what made Australian football fun for you this week?
I am going to flip this. I have a how to make Australian football more fun next week. Now, I'm not a golf fan by any stretch of the imagination, but at the Masters every year, I always get swept up in the tradition and the aesthetic of the Masters. I didn't care enough to watch until I saw who won. I just like the pageantry around it. And this is an example of the caddies. They wear the overalls every year. You are not allowed to bring in your phone or cameras. They serve the same set menu, the same sandwiches every year. It is a moment frozen in time at the Augusta National Golf Club. And a lot of brands use tradition and authenticity in their marketing because they know we live in a very transactional world where things are here today and gone tomorrow, and even more so in digital marketing, NFTs, crypto, and what have you, right? I said that purely to juice the algorithm. Now all the bots are going to come for us. You're welcome. That's how we get 16 million downloads. But creating that authenticity and that sense of tradition is something the A-League has long been accused of not having ever since, what happened in 2004. And so I can't help but think at Masters time back to the 2008 Manchester Derby and the Busby Babes tribute game where Manchester United and the entire stadium at Old Trafford all got on board, having the clean kits, no names, numbers 1 to 11. The entire crowd were holding traditional scarves. It is still, like, it sticks in my memory because it is still one of the best aesthetic football things I've ever seen. And you had, you see Rio Ferdinand, Paul Scholes, John O'Shea, Ryan Giggs. Well, maybe shouldn't have name dropped him. Edwin, or maybe not Edwin van der Sar. Oh, no, wait, that was Overmars. We're all right. Edwin van der Sar. And, here's, while we're on this track, there's Ronaldo being tackled by, I think that's Micah Richards, actually.
Yeah, it is Micah Richards.
For Manchester City. And it was like aesthetically, it was such a beautiful game, and I wish it still happened. The AFL has actually, first violation, has actually moved away from doing Heritage Round, where they used to have Heritage Guernseys, and I imagine it's to do with apparel partners and licensing and marketing and contracts and what have you. And this is kind of counterintuitive because I don't actually think this is a good idea, but maybe it's such a bad idea it might just work. I think we need in the A-League one team to have one game per season, always against the same opponent, and it's clean kits, heritage, tradition, no branding, no names, no one in the. It's like the Masters or Augusta. No one in the crowd can bring in their phone. You check your phone. Everything is old school. Maybe they mark the lines with different paint or rig up the different style nets, and I think this is actually counterintuitive to, what the league needs, which is as many people tweeting and posting about it as possible and basically providing self-perpetuating marketing. But I just wonder, is there a fixture for which this gimmick could actually stick? Because, you see the Sydney Derby at the weekend, and that's the one game that people, if they go to 3 games a year, they go to the Sydney Derbies. The Melbourne Derbies are losing that luster. We don't have games that are, we have the Big Blue, but because it falls on Australia Day, and Australia Day has become so fraught and part of the culture war, people don't say it's an Australia Day game anymore. It's Unite Round or Unite Game or UNITE game, whatever, right? But people have moved away from actually referring to it as a game on Australia Day. So we had a tradition and it's been kind of organically phased out. And so I'm just wondering, could old school game, depending on the right 2 teams, actually work in the A-League? Because it's such a bad idea, it might actually be a good idea.
Is it Adelaide versus Victory? Because that's kind of like the traditional derby.
I'm going counterintuitive. I think it should be Macarthur Western or vice versa.
But Macarthur Western has no history.
That's my point. That's my point. Such a bad idea. Such a bad idea. It might just work.
All right, I've got a bad idea. So what if we go next year, Auckland obviously entering the league, Auckland, Wellington, Auckland retro round, first year, but they go retro straight away.
Oh, so what do? They go New Zealand Knights.
No, they just create. Yeah. I mean, they could.
Or I don't know. I mean, maybe they go the first ever team that was in Auckland. I don't know what that was, but however, let us know if you know the history of Auckland football. I would doubt it.
Let us know the time in New Zealand if you know.
Yeah. A traditional segment on this show. What's the time in New Zealand?
What's the time over there?
Let us know. Call in. Look, I don't mind it. It's interesting you talk about the rules to get into the Masters. Joe, are you a big golf guy?
Not at all. And look, the Masters, not at all, to be honest. I'll tell you, if we've got time now, if you want to.
Let's just say, Stoll, there are other rules of the Augusta National Golf Club that have also, calling the Unite game the Australia Day game, have been phased out, and perhaps I agree with them. Let's just put that on the record about the Augusta National Golf Club. I'm not saying adopt all the rules that they've got.
Yeah, not to brandish everyone with the one paintbrush, but I did see the amount of private jets that were flying in to Augusta. It was like some record amount of private jets because all the rich people love the Masters, and with all those.
What's wrong with one A-League game per season that is cultivated and tailored purely to rich people? So bad it might work. Bad it might work, buddy. Come on.
The only rich people like the A-League are the owners.
and people, everyone flies their private jets to, I don't know, Cromer Park in Manly. drives their Bentleys to the stadium. I don't know.
Well, so when you brought this topic up and you talked about, not allowed to bring phones, not allowed.
I brought this topic up because you said you had to be out of here in 45 minutes, my friend, and we've burnt a third of the show.
That's all right. It's all right. Look, when you talked about no one's allowed to have phones, all these strict rules about no kind of old school technology, no records of you kind of being there or whatever, and then all the private jets. It did make me think a little Epstein Island vibes, with with the private jets and not allowed to be there. So I don't know. Maybe they need to put it on some kind of island somewhere to entice the rich people. Tasmania. We should do a Tasmania round. Get all the teams down there. I don't know if they have the infrastructure for it, but
I don't mind it. Let us know in the comments if you think that Nick Stoll's idea just then is a good one, or if you think maybe we should avoid that for now.
Daniel says it's 10:15 p.m. in New Zealand. So Daniel, you are the winner this week. What time is it in New Zealand? This is going to be a competition every way. There will be a giveaway. We just need to decide what prize that is. Let us know what the prize should be in the comments, and we'll get around to that. But yes, Daniel is the inaugural winner, the Sydney FC 2005, if you will, of what time is it in New Zealand? Look, I like catering all to like rich people. We could make it. Yeah, maybe we need to have one round, which is like this exclusive, because
not a whole round. I'm saying just one game, because at least you can put one game with two teams on a specific date or a specific time every year. Because Masters is always second Sunday in April, right?
Is it like
the Melbourne Cup? First Tuesday in November, and you don't have to worry about the entire round or who else plays who. You just know that it's Brisbane Roar, it's Melbourne City, it's the millionaires game, and fly your private jet to Moreton Bay Stadium, and in you go.
Why don't we have a game on Hamilton Island? That's where the rich people like to go. Hamilton Island. Right? I don't know if they have a stadium. I'm sure they've got like a patch of grass. They've probably got a golf course there, surely. Yeah. Hamilton Island should have the game. The other thing as well, is it like, do you remember there was a Wu-Tang album that literally only one person could buy, and it was that farmer, dickhead who like put the price up on diabetes medicine or what? Yeah, one of the worst people in the world, basically, bought the only Wu-Tang album. Is it like that?
I know who you're talking about.
We sell one ticket to this match, but this one ticket costs like 10 mil or something, like, and you're the only person who gets to witness it. And because it's not broadcast either, you're the only person.
Was it Martin Shkreli? Martin Shkreli?
I mean, probably. I tend to not remember the names of people that I will immediately despise upon hearing about them. But yeah, I don't know, the exclusive game.
But that makes it easy because you put it at a stadium with like a capacity of 100 fans. It's the Cartman Land approach. It's awesome, but you can't come.
Well, and this is also the other thing. So, like, recently, I got upgraded to essentially what was business.
Can you believe 15 million people a week listen to this show?
It's actually outstanding, isn't it?
I mean, maybe we should make this show more exclusive and just have one person listen to it.
Run it on Patreon only?
They pay us 15 million.
I don't trust all the gronks out there not to screen record our Patreon stuff.
But the thing that I think is true is that like rich people, they like things that are exclusive, but often those things, once you experience them for the first time, are completely overrated. Business class, completely overrated. Expensive watches.
I'm not so sure. I had my head turned once.
Your Majesty.
Incredible.
You know what? I got like a free upgrade to business class on a long flight from Australia to Abu Dhabi or whatever. Honestly, would never pay for that. Would never actually pay for that because the difference in price is like an extra $3,000-$4,000. What a
careful, Stoll. A lot of airlines might sponsor this podcast in the future.
That's true. And by the way, thank you to Emirates.
Theo, how much do you reckon a Moreton Bay bug roll would cost at this match in Moreton Bay?
Not a big coffee guy, not a big seafood guy here.
Not a big seafood guy. All right, I'll get you sometime. I'm going to get you.
I have an actual question here, and it's about actual football from the weekend. Daniel, I think I just showed the question. It may have just jumped off the screen for me. Here we go.
Yeah.
What was fun? Dub after dark
was fun.
Now, ton eats, 53rd minute, lights go out, down for about 10 minutes, and they came back on, and the game continued, thankfully. But I don't know. I think people have very short memories. They seem to forget that I once had to pad through about an hour of a pothole being filled in at Marconi Stadium. I mean, the lights going out for 15 minutes is old hat compared to is this poor bugger with a bucket of sand going to fill this pothole so we can have a game.
So on the list of crazy things that have happened while you've been commentating, where does the lights going out rank?
Not even in the top 5, I reckon.
Wow.
Crazy.
I know this is a question without notice, but off the top of the dome, what are the kind of top 5 quickly, roughly?
Adelaide making the A-League Women Finals is still the wildest shit I've ever seen. That's only half true. No, I think the pothole has to be up there. I mean, I've had games delayed for lightning. A couple of lightning strikes. Had a game abandoned due to lightning, which was back in 2019, I think. But no, the lights going out at the stadium. I'd been casually joking with people for weeks leading up to the Tarneit game. Hey, when they turn the taps in the showers, water's going to come out. Yeah. They have remembered that they've got electricity, right? Like, I was openly joking about this. I was openly joking about this with people in the lead up. So it shouldn't surprise anyone that there's a few teething problems the first time they have a night game there. Maybe they could have tried it with their NPL boys team before it was an A-League Women's Final, but all's well that ends well. They got the rest of the game played. They didn't have to postpone it. But no, it wasn't nearly as difficult to vamp. I mean, I think of other delays that have happened on NPL games, and it's just, it's the vaudeville hour. You run through your material and you get cracking.
Yeah, I mean, look, if anyone knows how to fill time, I think it's people on this show. Simon says it already happened once before at Macedonia Park. Joe, do you actually think this is a little bit of a conspiracy theory? I personally, when I'm at a football game, I would love the lights to go out. I would say you're muted, by the way, Joe, just in case. I did see your lips move. No sound come out. Although maybe you're doing a little ventriloquist act.
Yeah, maybe.
a little vaudeville, a little thing. But when the lights go out, I mean, who doesn't love it? I mean, obviously the players, but no one's sitting there going, "Oh, the lights have gone out." Everyone, look, Teo, you said it on commentary yourself. People got their cell phones out. Suddenly, it's a party atmosphere. It's fun. It's not fun if it lasts forever, but it is fun if it happens for 10 minutes. So, if the game is a bit boring, 0-0. Not much going on. Just someone just go, you know what's going to spice up the crowd? Boom. Give the old flick the switch. See what happens. Get everyone a bit excited.
I mean, I still get. Think about, obviously we were using the big stadiums during the Women's World Cup, but because what was it called during halftime? The fan beat or something.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
They used to play the song. Sorry, I don't want to get us violation FIFA. But they used to dim the stadium lights at every stadium and flash them on and off. And for me, who grew up in the 90s where sporting events were regularly abandoned unity beats. That's it. Thank you to all our listeners who have not forgotten the World Cup. The unity beat used to turn the lights on and off repeatedly at halftime. And I think that used to give me mild underlying sort of concern about, are we certain that they are rock solid on the lights here to take these sort of liberties? And I'm from the school of once they're on until they're off. And you don't toy with that sort of thing. But I don't know, maybe I'm an old curmudgeon in that respect.
I think so. Simon says, I do think it sparked a Perth Glory comeback. It's a good point. And Joe, this is what I want to ask you. Should Perth Glory have, I mean, it was a day game, so it would have been difficult. Should they have turned the lights out when they were 5-0 down after
Mr. Burns needed to hit the button.
28 minutes against City.
We need to do something. Were you calling foul play? Do you reckon maybe someone just leant against the wall and they're gone?
We need to do something. I just love the idea. Stadge, he's down 5-0 and City up to 28 minutes, and he goes, "All right, guys, plan B, cut the lights."
Where I felt really sorry for Stadge is at 3-0, he got a sub up to the fourth official, ready to make a big statement. I'm going to make a sub at the 25-minute mark. This will sharpen everyone up. And while he's waiting there next to the fourth official, they concede the fourth goal. It's it's kind of lost its effect now, hasn't it? So,
and I genuinely think he came on and he hadn't even touched the ball, and they were down 5-0 at that stage as well. So, I mean,
it could have genuinely been 10. And I think the Perth Glory fans are rightly at a loss as to why this team was absolutely on fire when they were in jeopardy with their ownership situation up in the air, and things have gone off a cliff after the ownership have come in. And all I have to say is just track who was commentating your games and what round, and maybe maybe there's a correlation. I don't know.
It's a bit of spark.
Joe,
Yes.
Melbourne City 8, Perth Glory now. We've seen it a couple of times. We've been teased a couple of times this season that City had almost gone and broken history. We'd never had an 8-0 victory before. We had an 8-1 victory before. We got it equaled when City won, I think, 7-0 against, was it Brisbane they won 7-0 against? Or was it, I know they beat Wanderers 7-0.
I think it wasn't it 8-2 against Brisbane or 8-1?
Maybe that sounds correct.
Anyway,
City, amazing, but finally they broke the duck. What did you make of it all? And do you think on any level that Perth fans, is there any part of them that goes, well, at least I witnessed history. At least whenever, I feel like the mark of a true fan is not being there for when your team wins a grand final, not being there for when, your team, I don't know, plays against Barcelona or whatever it is. It's being there in the absolute worst moments. When you hear fans and, Man City fans, they talk about, I was there when we were in Division 3 and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We threw 0-0 to whoever and, it was pissing down raining and stuff. Those Perth fans, for you to be able to say, I was there for the 8-0 against City, that to me is a source of pride. You are the ultimate Perth Glory fan. What do you reckon?
Well, firstly, disappointed there were no fireworks that went off when the 8-0 finally came about. But as a person, I totally understand what you're saying. I think when you've experienced the lows, it makes the highs so much better. But at the moment, Perth, can you guys see a light at the end of the tunnel in the near future for Perth? At the bottom of the
I think Oscar's answered the question here.
Oscar's
Joe.
just said no. So, that's kind of what I'm getting at here. I think I'd be surprised if you didn't turn off after 4 because it was going that bad.
Someone put on Twitter today.
The 5th came so quickly after the 4th. So probably by the time you grabbed the remote, made that decision, you would have seen the 5th.
I saw on Twitter today, I want to give credit, but I can't remember who it was. Someone put together like an 11 and then a second 11 of Australian players out of contract this offseason. So they can spin the magnets. I think the question is, what do they do with their foreign players? Because Khalifi wasn't working out before they lost him to Victory. Beavers has missed most of this season injured and was only slightly above average as opposed to a standout player in the league. McInnes didn't work and he was shipped off. That Israeli guy came in and went out for 5 minutes. I think, was it Ben Asdrubel? So during this ownership impasse, they've had absolutely no guns to fire on the foreign players. And I feel as though if they get that right, a good third of the under-20s and under-17s national team have come from Perth and Western Australia in the last cycle. There's plenty there to work with, but they've got to get the foreign players right. They've got to get Diego Castro is the reason they were a top team. They get one top, it doesn't have to be a big name. It just has to be a good performer, and that can rebuild the entire club around that.
Angel Torres. Simon
Chris Wood go west.
Wait, get Nick Nandui up front. Simon Vin says, what wasn't fun? Being subject to the worst ever loss in the A-League, watching from the away bay. Yeah, I don't know, but it's Simon, you've got a point of pride, is my point. You've got now a story to tell forever. What was fun? Singing self-deprecating songs with a traveling shed. See, even when it's that bad, you can have a bit of fun. Simon says, we cracked out classics like How Shit You Must Be, It's Only X-0. I don't know, How Shit You Must Be, It's Only 8-0. It's a hell of a thing to sing. You're Nothing Special, We Lose Every Week. One of my favorites, We've Got / Lost the Ball. I do like that one. Because you really get to celebrate each moment of the game. You're really invested into every second of the game when you're
about chanting, the journey.
Yeah, we've lost the ball. It is, it's interesting. Aaron says, do some aspects of Stageable need a conversation, or it is what it is at his disposal? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it needs a bit of a look. But I mean, we talked about how fun the Glory were at stages this season. So there has been real good moments. This is a bit of a bad moment. And, talked about the ownership issues. And, they have had issues. But I'll tell you what. I don't know, the new owner at Perth, a lot of big decisions to make. And let's just say, who is sitting on his right-hand side? I hope he's not his right-hand man for decisions going forward. But let's see what happens there. John says, only way the Glory bounce back is we win 9-0 next Sunday against Western United. I mean,
could happen.
That would be good. But look, let's also talk about one of the other, because, we've got to keep the show on the road. Sydney FC 2, Western Sydney 1, one of the most dramatic endings to a match. It was a good match anyway. It was lots of chances for both teams. The Piraeus hit the post. The two number 9s for both sides had multiple chances to score. I think Fabio finally got the opener with his 5th shot of the game. It looked like that was going to be the dramatic moment. And then I think maybe for the Sydney FC fans, it might be the best experience is to think in the 93rd minute or 95th minute that you haven't won the game and that you've suffered a devastating 1-1 draw, only to then go up the other end and then score the winner, 98th minute. Incredible. Just incredible. This is why you love football. I love Daniel McBreen saying that. It was amazing. But Joe, is this the funnest way to beat your rivals?
Well, I mean, singing how much we suck in the Perth shed sounded pretty good. But I think this experience, this is one of the best endings I've seen in a long time. Can you guys remember a finish to a game in extra time like this? It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And Taylor, what did you think of the commentating?
The thing I enjoyed the most. Yeah. Hive mind right there, Joe. The Hive's active. Robbie Thompson and Daniel McBreen going full Triple M footy in commentary on the equaliser and then the winner. That's what everyone dreams of. Just an organic moment in the stadium where you get so swept up in it that all you can do is shout. It was absolutely brilliant, and I just wish it happened more often. I had exactly the same feeling at the end of last season with the Central Coast Mariners beating Adelaide in the second leg of that semi-final. You walk away thinking, man, if this happened every week or even just 5 or 6 times a season instead of once every now and then, this league would be absolutely on fire. And I just wish there was a way we could recreate it and make it happen more often.
Look, let us know if you're at the game. It'd be good to know kind of what the atmosphere was like, because usually it's so much fun. The Sydney Derby, it's one of, I think, the best games to go to, not just in Australian football, but in Australian sport. Obviously, there were issues in the past with police and all that stuff. I think it seems like, I know there was a huge police presence, but I think maybe it was.
And there were new rules with wristbands, which was the Cove was pretty unhappy about. But we got through it without any major incidents from the RBB.
Except for one guy doing a ridiculous Nazi salute, but anyway.
Yeah, but that's one guy. I mean, the law's there. The law's there.
Exactly.
We'll see if it's applied. But obviously, there's been a bit of fallout, and the reason I mentioned off the top that maybe it's a safer time to say things and not worry about defamation is the fallout for Wanderers will continue.
Oh,
but
yeah, wow.
That is in the interests of all of us three. I'm not going to go any further other than to say, do your own research on what's going on in Wonderland.
Okay, look, I'm sure people have seen kind of what's been put on Twitter about the club and people at the club. What I think is really interesting is that there does seem to be a very deep divide in the fan base among Roods in, Roods out. We saw the banner, I think it was last week or something, that the RBB held up, and it was like, we're totally behind. I can't remember exactly what they said, but basically, we're totally behind you. A picture of Roods, almost more like we're for Roods more than we're for any of the players or whatever. Roods is like almost the star for them of the club, and you know what? That's a great. It's great when the fans have such a strong relationship with the coach, but then at the same time, you have all these other Wanderers fans who are totally sick of the football being played and totally sick of the performances and that type of thing. Look, there's still a chance to make the 6. There's been a lot of issues this season, but it's rare to see a fan group so divided. I can't remember the last time where there was a clear kind of, coach in, coach out. It's usually much more.
Can I speak purely from the view of self-interest? For a regular home and away game, a non-derby and a non-occasion, whichever group shows up in the most number, I think will end up deciding the date, because we all know that, fans are staying away for various reasons, various protests. Nothing illegitimate about those protests, by the way. But the sooner it can be resolved, the fans ultimately do get to apply pressure to the club about who they want managing them and why. Whether it's football, whether it's character, whether it's purely vibes. Ultimately, if fans turn up every week, they should be able to express themselves on how they see the club run, because it's their money. And ultimately, they're the one constant. Administrators, managers, players, they all come and go. The fans, they don't change.
Alex says via YouTube, atmosphere terrific all night. In the ground, it seemed like everyone played their part. Smaller RBB than usual, but they made plenty of noise. Loudest since 2017 grand final at Allianz after the winner. Yeah, I mean, and you know what's great is that it's just like there's, Sydney FC are 20 years old, or almost 20 years old next year. And, we talk about like the importance of history, and one of the reasons that some of the other, codes have such an advantage over the A-League, at least, is because of the long history they have, and the myth making, and the rivalries that develop over decades and decades and decades, and now centuries. It's just great that this is another bit of history for the Sydney Derby, for Sydney FC, for the Wanderers. This will be, was this the most dramatic end to a derby ever? This will be, okay, what are your top 5 derby memories? For Sydney FC fans, this will definitely be up there now. For probably, what are your top 5 Sydney FC memories? This will be up there as well. So, I just think that's great. And the more these things happen, the more the strong relationship you build between fans and club, which is obviously what is going to sustain the league. Look, should we, Joe, you wanted to say something about this game?
Well, just quickly, I want to shout out Joe Lolly, the candy man, because it took a lot of, Sydney had a lot of shots in this game, but he just drove at the defense to kind of force Fabio's opener. And I know Josh Parrish wasn't here tonight, but he's a big lolly man. Well, not a big lolly man. But a big Joe Lolly man. Let me tell you, when you worked with Josh when you worked with Sidelines Parrish, did he have anything down there? Did you have an anaconda or a Starburst tube? What was on his rider?
Jesus Christ, Joe. Working your stand-up. What? I thought the comedy festival was in March, mate. Isn't it not for another 11 months?
Hey, if it comes organically, I don't care.
Some of your finest, and Josh will be flattered.
Alex also says both sets of fans simultaneously telling each other to F off is also fun. It is true. This is like, it doesn't get much more fun than that. It's also, what is one of the funniest things about like a late equaliser, late winner, is the Wanderers fans celebrating so much in the faces of Sydney FC fans, giving it to Sydney FC fans, as they should. They'd scored a 95th minute derby equaliser. They'd snatched the victory away from Sydney FC. Only then for the Sydney FC fans to celebrate even harder in the faces of the Wanderers. I just love that. I love that about football. Look, we've got to keep this show moving. We've only got a few minutes left, but let's talk about, he's the superstar of the league, but for some reason he's not considered mature enough to be selected for the Olyroos, except then he is considered mature enough to get the call up when someone gets injured. So, maybe he did a lot of maturing in that 5 days. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Nestoroi Irankunda, everyone's favorite player, unless you're somehow involved in decision-making in Australian football. Teo Pellizzeri, was that, if the Sydney Derby was this great moment in Australian football, and how great is Australian football, and this is why we love it, was the absolute contrary, was A-League clubs trying to make sure that one of the great players, the most exciting players in the league, couldn't play the remaining games.
Look, Central Coast at least came out and admitted it was me, Austin. It was me all along. and to be fair, the owner did that. So he took total responsibility, Richard Peel. Yeah. But the Olyroos actually kick off, I think, at 11 p.m. tonight. I'll be up watching. This is perhaps, I think, one of the most eagerly anticipated Olympic qualifying series ever, because we feel such a close relationship to these A-League players. It's almost like we actually legitimately do have a second men's national team in our midst at the moment, because we've been able to form a bond with so many of these guys, even the ones that are overseas. Pretty much all of them have played in the A-League at some point. So we feel, I think that little bit more invested. And I wrote a very short, a preview for the 10 Network website where I went back and just had a quick look through some of the Olympic qualifying journeys and what we did at Olympics. Guys like Farina and Kosmina scoring at Seoul in 88, Ned Zelic's miracle goal to beat a very good Dutch team in 1992 to qualify us for Barcelona. And in that gap between 1974 and 2006, the Olympics was pretty much all we had. Yeah, and really good in men's football anyway. So it still holds a special place in the heart for a lot of people that are old enough to remember what life was like before we always used to qualify for the World Cup. And to bring it back to Irankunda, it's frustrating because when you look at the raw numbers, Aluqual, Garanqual, and Moture have 3 club goals between them for the entire season. And Garang and Moture have about 900 combined minutes. So I haven't seen a lineup yet, but are we starting Milanovic and Lockie Brook because they're the only guys that are actually getting a regular game and scoring? Like, in terms of, yes, he's a good player. He's a great player. He's a great prospect. But in terms of the immediate needs of the team right now, I actually think it's as pronounced in terms of, we have a good core of defenders. The fullbacks and wingbacks are bloody excellent in this Ollie Roos team. Midfield, take it or leave it. Holman's in great form. We've got some, players that couldn't go. Yazbek, Dorigo got blocked by their clubs in Europe. And the AFC, shame on them. This should be taking place in international windows rather than outside of FIFA window, but leave that by the by. Play the ball as it lies. But the contrast between our defenders, our midfielders, and the current state of our forwards, we actually needed Irankunda in this group to score some goals. So, hey, we'll find out against Jordan in a couple of hours.
Yeah, and look, we talked about it a little bit last week, and this idea of he wasn't selected for whatever reasons, and which I think we gave them a bit of a benefit of the doubt. The selection team saying, well, if there's some issues or whatever, but then to go back on it and then just say, oh yeah, we try to call him up after 5 days, just insane behavior. And again, with Irankunda, just sometimes I think he's going to be better off away from Australian football because just it's batshit craziness.
No, you see, my reaction to this is I think it's coming from a very similar place of we'd be better off by not qualifying for the 2022 World Cup because it'll force some sort of a reset. No, this is just an everyone loses situation. I think about the worst case scenario is Irankunda moves to Bayern, does his 5 years in Germany, joins Die Mannschaft after getting his German citizenship, and then comes back to the Brisbane Olympics as an overage player and says, "Oh, how do you like me now?"
You know what? I got to say, with Ollie Roos and memories, he just made me think of, I don't know if you remember this, Joe, but the 2000 Olympics, before the opening ceremony, Australia had Olympic fever. It was huge. And honestly, I feel like the 2000 Olympics was maybe peak Australia. It was maybe the best time ever for our country. And, it was so much fun and we were so united.
Big John Howard guy, are you, Stoll? I had no idea.
Look, whatever. He just happened to be on the seat. But look, I'm saying 2000 Olympics, it's absolutely just peak Australia, right? But before the opening ceremony, Australia played Italy. It was kind of like the opening event of the whole Olympics, and we lost 1-0. I think it was in the 80th minute or something. Yep. Andrea Pirlo scored the goal against us, but I remember being devastated because it did feel like, and at the time Italy was, one of the best teams in the world, and now they barely can qualify for World Cups and stuff. But it was just such an amazing time, and yeah, you're right, Teo. There was a time where the Ollie Roos was our chance to be in tournaments, and it was so exciting. And that's why it's obviously really important that we get to Paris. And also because, I think I might be going to Paris. But anyway, look, that's by the by.
It's funny, Stoll. You know who got the assist for Pirlo's goal? Massimo Margiotta went on to play for Venezuela at senior international level. Didn't even play for Italy in the end. There you go. Fun piece of trivia.
Wow. It is. There's a couple of players just looking at the starting lineup of the Ollie Roos at that time. There's a couple of players, obviously, you definitely know: Simon Colosimo, Brett Emerton, Mark Viduka, Stan Lazaridis, Josip Skoko, Vince Grella. But there's a guy in here, I don't even remember him, Tay. Maybe you can help me out. Michael Krugia?
Mike, you don't remember Michael Kasija?
No.
Oh, Stoll, sweet summer child. I think there's like a 7 or 8 year age gap between me and you.
Yeah.
And I think that the difference right there. Michael Kasija scored every week on ABC on Sunday afternoons for South Melbourne. Went on to have a decorated career in the Victorian State Leagues, including playing for the Essendon Royals. He's now a coach. I don't know where he's coaching exactly right now, but now Michael Dragan Kasija was one of those heroes of the NSL era. And a great little striker.
Aaron says via Twitter, and we like your comments coming in. I think Viet coming out and saying that Australia doesn't know how to handle its young players sums it up really. Yeah, look, I actually think it's a good point. But I mean, even Viet himself has had some issues. So, it's just so frustrating because we get these young players, they excite us so much, and we just seem to shoot ourselves in the foot when it comes to both.
My last point on this is, in true Arnie era fashion, if the Quolls, if Toure, if this Olyroos team come out and prove us wrong, then I will put my hands up and say, just like the 2022 World Cup, you outdid my expectations. But right now, I can't see us getting past the first knockout game if we do get out of the group. And of course, we need to make it to at least the third place playoff if we want to qualify for the Olympics. Right now, I am not optimistic. I hope to be proven wrong. I guess that is the one thing the Arnie era is good at doing. It is proving people wrong.
Joe, was the perfect response from Irankunda that goal that he scored for Adelaide?
It was. I mean, he'd be disappointed by the penalty at the end, but what a goal. I mean, we saw when he signed for Bayern, that was doing the rounds on Twitter and Reddit and everything, his collection of how he hits the ball. No. That's just another great example of how he can hit a football. It was incredible. The swag. I haven't seen someone hit a ball like that in such a long time. I can't even think of a similarity to who hits it like that. It just goes to show the talent that he has.
Prime Roberto Carlos. Look, I mean, he could. Oh, you know what? You know, who could absolutely smash a ball. Do you remember Alex, the centre back, who played at Chelsea?
Hey, Joe, we've got him to 47 minutes. Do you think we can string him out to an hour?
No. We need to take a break. He's right. I need to get out of here, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for your comments. It's been absolutely great. Joe Simon in Melbourne, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nick Stoll.
Teo Pellizzeri in Sydney, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to promote this week?
Just watch the A-League Women's. Watch the A-League Men's and the A-League Women's on Sunday. You can't lose.
Yes. All right. Look, thank you so much for joining us. Tune in next week. Let us know in the comments. Get this thing on Reddit. Put us 5 stars. Subscribe. I don't know, TikTok, whatever. Just spread the MAFFS world. Just try and make Australian football that little bit more fun than it was last week. Keep that in your heads. If someone is trying to make it less fun by not letting Irankunda play in A-League games, call them out. All right. This goes against everything that MAFFS stands for. So try and make Australian football a little bit more fun this week. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time, 8 p.m. Monday. Cheers. Bye.